We went and saw the Marvels last night. I'm sure people are going to wonder, like, what everyone has to say about it.
I actually just almost had a heart attack. It has an 85% audience score.
They're fake. If you start clicking, all of the reviews that are being left are new accounts.
I mean, I don't even know if I can. Like, I don't even care. Like, at this point, people who love Marvel are going to love it anyway. So I actually kind of believe it.
I see a lot of verified audience scores that are high scores.
And if you start clicking them, a lot of these
how are they verified?
So Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel, has reclaimed her identity from the tyrannical Kree and taken revenge on the Supreme Intelligence. But unintended consequences see Carol shouldering the burden of a destabilized universe. If only they had been able to figure out a way to make that seem clear in the story. With her duties sent to her as an anomalous wormhole linked to the Kree Revolutionary, her powers become entangled with that of Jersey City superfan Kamala Khan, aka Miss Marvel, and Carol's estranged niece, Captain Monica Rambeau.
Woo.
Before the movie, my Alamo Drafthouse was playing old videos of Brie Larson's failed music career from 2005. As well as some random YouTuber's homework video about all of the Marvel TV shows that you should have watched before watching the Marvels to understand it, which is why I didn't understand shit about this movie and I didn't appreciate it at all.
I'll give it one positive. I think Iman Vellani as Kamala Khan is the only good part of this movie, and there's a simple reason for that.
The only tolerable part?
Everybody acts like a child, but she's actually a child, so the humor actually works. What they see here is you see the dead corpse of what could be a great movie if you actually allowed the other characters to take what's going on seriously and not finish every sentence with a joke, and then use Kamala Khan as the vector point to inject humor into it, which like eases out the tone and makes it more tolerable for anyone. Instead, what you get is literally no chemistry the movie. I've never seen three lead actors with less chemistry with one another. Every scene they're in together, they look like they would rather be anywhere else but hanging out with each other.
For Brie, it's actually true. Yes. She doesn't want to do this role anymore.
Well, right. She's come out and said that like she's over it. She's done with it.
Like, the only thing that works is Kamala Khan and her family, but that's not this movie. So what you see is like, look, nobody cares about the rest of the characters.
I felt like her family, it became a little bit too much by the
Towards
end.
the end,
right. They were really, really shoving them into as many scenes as possible, which I understand that was the whole Miss Marvel show, which, by the way, now, guys, I've watched twice because I watched it again over the past few days. Unfortunately, I've gone through double the torture. But it's like you have, you know, Carol and then Monica and their relationship, and that's the heartfelt. But then Miss Marvel, Kamala needed hers, which is her family. So they really had to find a way to put them in there. But it was just too much by the end.
And everyone gets along all the time. That's the big problem I have. There's no conflict. There's no conflict whatsoever. You get a little bit of conflict between Monica and Carol Danvers, which is then just washed away almost instantly once they're back on Carol's ship. And here's the problem. Towards the end of the movie, we are going to be revealing spoilers. I don't give a crap. We're not making a spoiler for, a second video about this. If the sacrifice made by the end of the film had been done after a movie's worth of tension and disagreements between two characters, it would have actually landed.
Right.
But it doesn't land because everyone's hunky-dory, happy all the time. They're all queen slaying all the time.
Yep.
Before Monica Rambeau goes to the other universe or whatever, they shouldn't have made up their conflict. And also, I think that Captain Marvel should have never been nice and buddy with Kamala Khan.
No,
like,
not at all.
She should have been like, maybe had one moment where she was like, "You're all right, kid."
At the end.
And then she should have shot herself into the sun and not come out on the other end.
Well, don't forget it towards the beginning when Captain Marvel meets Miss Marvel, they are arguing because like Kamala wants to save as many people as possible.
Then
and
they're like,
she's
I'm
trying
so
to use
sorry
the
that I
powers.
treated
No,
you
that
like
was
that.
that was a great idea
You
right
delicate
there.
It was
little
a good
snowflake.
idea, a poor execution.
I'm saying that was a great idea that they didn't actually fill out to be like, you can actually grow that character much more by the end of the movie if you allow the stakes to matter and they don't just make it back to the ship and suddenly it's girls' night and they're having a
they're like giving each other
Dance
pedicures
battle.
and having a pillow fight. But like Kamala Khan should have never gotten any affirmation from her idol and watched her idol sacrifice her own life.
Yep.
And then gone back to Earth traumatized and messed up from it.
Like the scene,
That would have actually been
She needed
a good
her
story.
hopes and dreams crushed.
and I'll tell you what. So the big.
Or am I just a sadist for
No,
Marvel
I
characters
definitely
at this
think
point?
that she needed a bit of a crushing there.
Yeah.
The lady,
Definitely.
the scene where they're all, so basically the big MacGuffin parts of the story is like every time one of them uses their powers, they switch places with one of the other of the three characters because they all have light-based powers or whatever, right? So if you have a scene where nobody's getting along and they keep swapping while trying to figure out their powers, there's an interesting idea there.
They could
Instead,
sabotage
it's like,
each other.
Yes. Look, everyone knows that on this channel, I am the soft critic, okay? I'm usually more than willing to give most movies the benefit of the doubt. Half the time a movie doesn't even have to make sense to me. Like, as long as I leave in a good mood, I don't really care. Nothing in this movie does that to you. The bad guy, Darban, is literally a charisma vacuum. It's one of the least interesting characters I've ever seen in my entire life.
Address Nick Fury and how he was so buck broken that he might as well have not been in this movie.
Black girl magic.
Yeah, the black girl magic comment to Monica Rambeau. He might as well have not been in this movie. He had no active role in this movie. There were no men that had any active roles in this movie.
The only thing he did was call Captain Marvel and been like, what are you doing? Want to go run an errand for
Like
me?
FaceTimes her from his bedroom or something.
I went and rewatched Civil War recently, and the lengths to which Nick Fury has fallen in the MCU is almost shocking.
It's tragic.
And I'm like, why would Samuel L. Jackson even embarrass himself with this career he has by attaching himself to this franchise, which is dying?
Yeah, I mean, money.
We got a $20 one from Philip Reed. I was flipping bricks with Mensa Muse before you were even a Type 1 civilization.
Okay. I can't even deal with this right now. We have to get back on track here. So Fury is cucked. Thank you for that. Thank you for the super chat. The other thing here
Brett's still angry.
I'm still angry. There's a $50 super chat here from Riley Lewin. Says YouTube ate the last $50 super chat, so hopefully you guys get the full 100. Merry very early Christmas. Thank you, and I hope that
I hope you didn't get your money stolen.
Yeah, I hope,
Hopefully
because
not.
we didn't. So I hope they
Classic
didn't take that from you, dude, because that's absolutely ridiculous.
Someone said that Samuel L. Jackson went woke and sold out.
It's I don't know if I also understand that how they look at the creation of their projects is different than how the people who watch it take it, right? Like even here, right? People who watch this podcast see it very differently than we do as the people who make it. I'm not faulting him for staying in the timeline and making more of the movies. That's fine. But I do wish that maybe they treated him with a little bit more respect and treated the character with a little bit more respect.
Well, that's the problem, is that this movie was just devoid of any masculinity, and Samuel L. Jackson was basically there as kind of a punching bag so that he could make a couple jokes, do a little funny, but that was it.
Yeah.
And it's so sad.
The musical sequence filled me with homicidal rage.
Gosh.
It was
Can't we just
awful.
pretend that didn't happen?
Like, is this a Disney movie?
No,
I mean, it is a Disney movie, but is it a Disney princess movie?
Right.
Technically, we've gotten like previous experience with this because of the Eternals did their.
I didn't watch that,
Yeah.
thankfully.
Yes,
so.
the Eternals did their own version of that, which was somehow less
I feel like
awful.
musicals are just the thing now. Recently, I live streamed Alan Wake, which was a 13-year sequel in the making.
Yeah.
And it had the cringiest, 20-minute chapter that was just a full musical. It was so bad. Why do we need musicals in content that's supposed to be serious?
Keep the genres separate.
Yeah, it's a psychological horror game. Why do we have a musical?
And I understand that meta humor is now the case du jour for this franchise.
Yeah.
But seeing a character this is the thing I always go back to. I don't want to see characters excited about being superheroes.
Yeah. I want them to just be like, oh, I'm a superhero.
It's my job.
Right.
It's my job. When there's a scene where Carol puts on Crocs, I almost left the theater. It was like 5 minutes into the movie.
Tie-dye Crocs on
a spaceship. I'm like, this is going to be every bit as bad as you imagine.
Tie-dye Crocs.
Here's the thing. but every character, it's not just women getting along. Everybody
Right.
gets along and is cutesy all the time. That's not, you're watching worlds get torn apart. There would be at least some nervous conflict between people. It doesn't make any sense. It feels like Hollywood writers writing characters in a writer's room, not characters that they actually have put themselves into the shoes of
Right.
and imagine what it would be like in their world. The bad guy was it sounded like an infomercial when
Yeah.
she would talk. It was extremely it was awful. It was disturbingly bad, and that is almost the most praise I can give it,
Yeah.
is that it's not worse than that.
Well, it's like in the movie, they tried to make Captain Marvel the disliked character because she's the
Yeah.
annihilator. And oh my gosh, everyone around the galaxy hates her. But then you have this villain who is doing things in order to save her planet. So they're trying to make the villain look like a good guy. And this is like a running theme with Disney lately. Like in Wish, they have the villain now singing about how, oh, I let you live here for rent free and I take care of all your needs. Like, why can't villains be villains anymore?
They're not allowed.
But also because she's a woman. So
Yes. I was okay.
there's another
There's a
reason.
scene at the end where Darben's trapped, and they're like, "Maybe we'll help her save her planet." I'm like, "No,
Right.
just kill her." That's your job. Your job is to end the threat right now, or at least put her in jail. Do not get her up and be like, "Let's talk it out."
Yeah.
Let's fix it.
That's not what you do.
This is a fundamental difference between how I think men and women see these genres, right? I don't know if this is a gendered issue, but it feels that way.
A gendered issue.
That a guy wouldn't write a story like this way.
I mean, I'm a woman and I wouldn't write a story this way.
Put her in space jail.
There's so many things that they could do.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
And so the sacrifice from Rambeau at the end feels completely unearned. None of it seems to matter. It had none of the, like, I'm not saying you have to make it the most serious movie in the entire
Right.
world.
No.
But it's stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Was there anything that
agree.
like you had like a fix that you said you would have done
Did I?
with what you would have done as far as the sacrifice of Monica Rambeau? And
Oh yeah, she should have like died somehow. Captain Marvel should have died when she launched herself into the sun to reignite it, even though that was a stupid side quest. And they should have traumatized Kamala Khan. What else? I'm puzzled by the tone of Marvel movies in general, because it's like you're living in this universe where everyone knows that superheroes exist and that there are all these supernatural and sci-fi like events happening in the like in I don't know, like
It's like normal.
but people are just
day.
kind of like working at Starbucks and like living their lives like everything's normal, even though like this blip happened, which I barely understand, which would have completely collapsed any society.
Yeah.
And they're just kind of like, whatever.
They actually
Like I don't know.
managed-
I don't get you know what I mean?
They actually now that I think about it, Hawkeye the TV show might have been a better example of how to do somewhat serious, because they still managed to make Clint a fairly like depressed character through the
they
run
did.
of that show,
Yeah.
right? Clint is good in that show, and they seem to pass the character off very, very well. And you don't need all of these movies to be fun and games all the time
no.
when there's world-ending threats.
Well, that's another issue that I have entirely with Marvel at this point, is that it's gone on so long and we have so many characters. When we're talking about other planets and in parallel universes, that's one thing. Like, oh, Captain Marvel's doing something on this other planet. That's crazy. When you start having a villain who's trying to absorb the sun, don't you think that characters like Doctor Strange and Thor would be like, well, that's actually kind of important and we should probably pay attention to what's going on. Like, none of those big characters showing up is just such a problem for me at this point.
Yeah.
Superheroes are treated like CIA agents in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just and the other reason that I think that it's as bad as it is I'm kind of your target audience for something like this, which is like, I don't need it to make a whole ton of sense. I don't need it to be like, I'm not the person who harps heavily on continuity errors. I can go into a Marvel movie or a franchise a little bit in, and as long as the project itself, this one, is entertaining start to finish and there's some type of conclusion, by the end,
Yeah.
I'm fine with it. And there's just none of that in this. There's
Right.
there's no stakes whatsoever.
Well, right
Nobody
now.
ever seems worried. They tried to pull an emotional performance out of Brie Larson.
They did.
That didn't really
You called
land.
her wooden.
I don't. It didn't land for me. Like that. Like if you have less knowledge of her, like of her acting, it might actually work because it might play as traumatized.
To have an emotional moment, you need to have emotions.
Yeah.
Sorry, Brie, you don't have them.
It could play as
That's the problem.
traumatized for some
Right, it
people, but
could,
I don't
but-
know if that's what it is.
Right.
But everybody's quips all the time. Nobody takes any of the dialogue seriously. What is to allow, and if it's going to be humor that people are looking
Right.
for, the only laughter that I heard in the theater that I went had to do with Kamala Khan.
Yeah.
People found her generally humorous and amusing.
Yeah.
And Monica Rambeau it felt like she was just there.
Yeah, she was just kind of
Like
there.
she was an exposition dump for science. She's scientific exposition dump the
Science
character.
that doesn't make sense,
Yes.
by the way. But
And it's just, and at an hour and 45 minutes, it felt like 2 hours and 30
I
minutes
was
for
like,
me.
this movie's got to be done soon. This
Yeah.
movie's got to be done soon. It felt too long, even though it's a relatively short film.
Yeah. I thought when they were talking about like reality, like collapsing in on itself, that Doctor Strange was going to come.
They should have done something. I know they don't want to pay for cameos
Yeah.
and they don't want to put
He'd cost
so
a
many
fortune. Like Benedict
characters. Right.
Cumberbatch would cost a
But
fortune.
when you have a story where like someone is trying to absorb the sun,
Yeah.
that's when you have to start bringing these bigger characters in, like Thor, like
And what you're looking at, like Nick Fury's on a space military base and everyone talks like they're in college.
right.
It's not, it doesn't
Oh,
work.
and Bree's quip in the movie, like to Fury, you're creating a very negative environment right now.
Yeah.
It's just so
Yeah.
bad.
The only character I liked was the husband on the other planet. Bring him back. He was fine.
The
husband.
metrosexual,
The metrosexual
K-pop
K-pop
yeah.
star. Yes, bring him back. He was
Yeah.
fine.
who doesn't know English in real
Right.
life.
Yes. Yeah. So don't go see it. It's a 0 out of 10 for me.
Yeah,
It's
but good on Brie for staying skinny and cute.
she's a beautiful woman. She's a beautiful woman. And if I was to make, like, I would have rather they had done Miss Marvel as a movie and let her have a hero, like a full length, like a
Right.
movie length hero's journey that isn't like exposition, one action scenes an episode. I would have rather seen her become a hero in a full length film
Yeah.
where her tone actually works, rather than see a bunch of other characters exist with her tone that just makes you ask, why are the adults talking like the teenager? That doesn't make any sense.
Right, especially when you've got an adult who's trying to. At times, Captain Marvel tries to act like an adult, and she's like talking down to her, but she still makes the same type of jokes. So
Yeah.
it's like she doesn't know what she's doing.
Yeah. Yep. There's just a lot of ways. It felt as if they needed like a secondary voice who wasn't one of the main writers to come in and be like, does this really work here?
Right.
In a lot of the dialogue parts, like the part where Carol is suddenly friends with these girls doesn't really fit the character.
No, like
It's because, like, if it was a dude, she'd be standoffish and weird. But because
I'm gonna
it's
punch
girl,
you.
because it's girl power, I guess
Right.
it's whatever. Don't go see it. It's not worth seeing. Trust me, there are plenty of people who will make many reviews that you will find. And go look for ones that are positive. Go look for ones that are positive. If they can articulate to you what it is that they like about it,
Great movie,
Go with
awesome
God,
film.
I guess that's fine. I don't care. Like there are going to be people who definitely like this movie.
course.
But it's just, it didn't work for me.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that it was just a fail all around, and not one I will be forcing myself to ever rewatch.
$300 million. I don't know where it went for this. There was this really bad shot of like Nick Fury looking at the sun that it was the most green screen shot I've ever seen in my entire life.
I thought some of it visually looked okay. Like the planets looked okay. Like the suns looked
the costumes were
okay.
cheap looking too.
The
Well, the
costumes were very
Skrulls look
bad.
like Power Rangers villains.
the putties.
They look
They,
so
they
bad.
kind of do.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.